The Journey of Power, The Rise and Rule of Stalin, a fictionalized narrative exploring the life of Joseph Stalin and the moral lessons his leadership imparts. Chapter 1, Early Life in Gori. Joseph Stalin was born as Ias Vissarionis Dzhugashvili in 1878 in Gori, Georgia. His early years were marked by poverty and hardship. His father, a cobbler, was often abusive, while his mother, a devout Orthodox Christian, worked tirelessly to ensure her son received an education. Despite the challenges, young Joseph showed remarkable intelligence and a rebellious streak. He excelled in school, earning a scholarship to the Tiflis Theological Seminary. However, his time at the seminary was short-lived as he became increasingly drawn to Marxist literature and revolutionary ideals, which conflicted with the institution's teachings. Stalin's exposure to Marxism ignited a passion for political change. He began participating in underground revolutionary movements, distributing pamphlets and organizing protests against the Tsarist regime. His commitment to the cause earned him a reputation as a determined and resourceful activist. These early experiences shaped Stalin's worldview, instilling a belief in the need for a centralized and uncompromising approach to achieving revolution. However, his methods often veered towards ruthlessness, a trait that would define his leadership in the years to come. Chapter 2, Joining the Bolsheviks. Stalin's entry into the Bolshevik faction of the Russian Social Democratic Labour Party marked a pivotal moment in his life. Drawn by Vladimir Lenin's vision of a proletarian revolution, Stalin quickly became an active and loyal member, contributing to the party's growth through clandestine activities. Stalin's role as a Bolshevik operative involved organizing strikes, raising funds through expropriations, and spreading revolutionary propaganda. His ability to navigate dangerous situations and avoid capture made him a valuable asset to the movement. However, his methods often drew criticism for their harshness. In 1913, Stalin adopted the name by which he would become known, Stalin, meaning man of steel. The name reflected his hardened personality and unyielding commitment to the revolutionary cause. Despite his growing influence, he remained in the shadow of more prominent leaders like Lenin and Trotsky. The 1917 Russian Revolution brought significant change. As the Bolsheviks seized power, Stalin's organizational skills and loyalty earned him key roles in the new government. While he lacked the charisma of his peers, his behind-the-scenes maneuvering and strategic thinking positioned him as a rising star within the party. Chapter 3, Consolidating Power. Following Lenin's death in 1924, a power struggle ensued among the Bolshevik leadership. Stalin, now General Secretary of the Communist Party, used his position to outmaneuver rivals like Leon Trotsky. He skillfully built alliances and eliminated opposition, solidifying his control over the party. Stalin's rise to power was marked by his ability to manipulate the party's bureaucracy. He expanded his influence by appointing loyalists to key positions and ensuring that dissenting voices were marginalized. His rivals underestimated his determination and cunning, allowing him to emerge as the undisputed leader. Once in control, Stalin initiated a series of policies aimed at transforming the Soviet Union into a modern industrial powerhouse. The first five-year plan focused on rapid industrialization and collectivization of agriculture, but it came at a great cost. Millions suffered from famine, forced labor, and political purges. Despite the suffering, Stalin presented himself as the father of the Soviet people, a visionary leader guiding the nation towards a brighter future. His propaganda machine reinforced this image, ensuring that his authority went unquestioned. Chapter 4, The Purges begin. The 1930s were marked by Stalin's increasing paranoia and desire to eliminate perceived threats to his power. The Great Purge saw the arrest, imprisonment, and execution of millions, including party officials, military leaders, and ordinary citizens accused of counter-revolutionary activities. Stalin's purges extended to the arts, academia, and media, silencing anyone who dared to criticize his regime. The infamous show trial showcased fabricated confessions and predetermined verdicts, creating an atmosphere of fear and mistrust throughout the Soviet Union. While the purges solidified Stalin's control, they also weakened the country. The removal of experienced military officers and intellectuals left gaps in leadership that would prove costly during World War II. However, dissent was effectively crushed, leaving no room for organized resistance. Despite the horrors of the purges, Stalin's propaganda emphasized his role as a protector of the revolution. The people were told that the sacrifices were necessary to defend socialism and build a stronger Soviet Union. Many believed him, while others lived in fear of speaking out. Chapter 5, The Road to War. By the late 1930s, Stalin's attention turned outward as tensions in Europe escalated. He sought to secure the Soviet Union through a series of strategic decisions, including the signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with Nazi Germany in 1939. This non-aggression treaty shocked the world, as it included a secret clause dividing Eastern Europe between the two powers. The pact temporarily safeguarded the Soviet Union, allowing Stalin to focus on consolidating internal control. However, it also enabled Hitler's aggression, as Germany invaded Poland and initiated World War II. Stalin's expansion into eastern Poland and the Baltic states was met with condemnation but reinforced his belief in the need for buffer zones. Stalin underestimated Hitler's ambitions, even as evidence mounted of an impending German invasion. When Operation Barbarossa began in 1941, the Soviet Union was caught off guard, suffering massive losses in the early months of the war. Stalin, initially paralyzed by shock, quickly regrouped and rallied his forces. World War II became a defining period in Stalin's rule. His leadership during the Great Patriotic War was marked by both brutal measures and strategic acumen. He demanded unwavering loyalty and punished any hint of dissent, but also inspired his people to resist the Nazi invasion with fierce determination. Chapter 6, The Turning Point. The tide of war turned in 1942 with the Battle of Stalingrad, one of the most significant and brutal battles of the war. The Soviet victory, achieved at a tremendous cost, marked the beginning of Germany's retreat. Stalin hailed the battle as a testament to Soviet strength and resilience. Stalin's strategy relied on sheer manpower and the industrial capacity of the Soviet Union, which had been relocated eastward to protect it from German advances. His ability to mobilize resources and maintain a centralized command structure was crucial to the war effort. As Soviet forces pushed westward, liberating occupied territories and advancing into Eastern Europe, Stalin began to envision a post-war world where the Soviet Union would dominate. He saw the war not just as a fight against fascism but as an opportunity to expand socialism. Despite his successes, Stalin's rule remained harsh. Soldiers and civilians alike were subjected to strict discipline and harsh penalties for perceived failures. The war effort came first, and sacrifices were demanded at every level of society. Stalin's leadership during the war cemented his reputation as a formidable figure. He was seen as both a savior and a tyrant, a paradox that defined his legacy in the eyes of the Soviet people and the world. Chapter 7, The Post-War Era. The end of World War II in 1945 elevated Stalin to the status of a global superpower leader. The Yalta and Potsdam conferences established the Soviet Union's sphere of influence in Eastern Europe, setting the stage for the Cold War. Stalin's vision of a communist bloc became a reality. Domestically, Stalin launched a massive reconstruction effort to rebuild the war-torn Soviet Union. The devastation left by the war was immense, but the regime emphasized collective effort and national pride. Propaganda glorified Stalin as the architect of victory and progress. Stalin's paranoia persisted, leading to renewed purges and crackdowns on perceived enemies. Scientists, artists, and political figures were targeted in a bid to maintain absolute control. The post-war period saw a mix of technological advancement and cultural repression. Internationally, Stalin's relationship with the West deteriorated rapidly. The formation of NATO and the Marshall Plan fueled his suspicions of capitalist encirclement. The Iron Curtain descended across Europe, dividing East and West in a standoff that would define the latter half of the 20th century. While Stalin's policies consolidated the Soviet Union's position as a superpower, they also exacerbated tensions that would later challenge its stability. His focus on control and expansion came at the cost of individual freedoms and innovation. Chapter 8, The Cult of Personality. Stalin's image as an infallible leader was carefully crafted through propaganda. Portraits, statues, and slogans celebrated his achievements, portraying him as the father of the nation and a protector of socialism. The cult of personality created a climate of adulation but also fear, as dissent was equated with treason. Education, media, and the arts were strictly controlled to ensure that Stalin's narrative remained unchallenged. History was rewritten to highlight his role in the revolution and minimize the contributions of his rivals. The Soviet people were taught to revere him as a near-mythical figure. However, cracks in the facade began to appear. The harsh realities of Stalin's policies, from famine to purges, could not be entirely concealed. Stories of suffering and oppression spread quietly, challenging the official narrative of progress and prosperity. Stalin's health declined in his later years, but his grip on power remained firm. He continued to rule with an iron fist, convinced of his own indispensability. Even as his policies became increasingly erratic, those around him feared challenging his authority. The cult of personality ensured that Stalin's death in 1953 was met with widespread mourning. For many, he was the only leader they had ever known, a symbol of both stability and terror. His legacy would be reassessed in the years that followed. Chapter 9, Barack Obama's speech and the reaction. Decades later, as the world reflected on the lessons of history, leaders like Barack Obama spoke of the values that countered tyranny. In a famous speech, Obama declared, "If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, let them see the power of democracy." Obama's words resonated globally, offering a stark contrast to the authoritarianism of Stalin's era. The speech emphasized the importance of unity, equality, and hope, values that Stalin's rule had often suppressed. It reminded the world of the need to safeguard freedoms and uphold human dignity. In the former Soviet Union, Reactions to Obama's speech were mixed. While many admired his vision, others viewed it through the lens of their own struggles. Stalin's legacy, still a subject of debate, influenced how his leadership was interpreted in light of modern democratic ideals. Obama's speech highlighted the importance of learning from history. The failures of authoritarian regimes like Stalin's underscored the dangers of unchecked power and the enduring need for accountability and compassion in leadership. His message inspired hope for a better future. Chapter 10, A Moral Lesson for the Ages. Joseph Stalin's life and rule serve as a cautionary tale of the dangers of absolute power and the human cost of unyielding ambition. His rise from humble beginnings to the heights of power was marked by determination, but his legacy was defined by oppression and fear. Stalin's story illustrates the consequences of prioritizing ideology over humanity. While he achieved significant industrial and military advancements, the toll on the Soviet people was immense. The millions who suffered under his policies are a testament to the dangers of sacrificing individual freedoms for collective goals. The moral lesson of Stalin's life lies in the importance of balance in leadership. True progress comes not from fear and control but from empowering individuals and fostering a culture of respect and collaboration. His story reminds us that even the most ambitious visions can become destructive without compassion. As the world continues to reflect on Stalin's legacy, it is clear that his era was both a warning and a lesson. The values of tolerance, accountability, and humility stand in stark contrast to the authoritarianism of his rule. In learning from his mistakes, humanity can strive for a future built on justice and peace.